Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We are diving deep into dating apps, and not just, the user experience, the endless swiping, but the core architecture behind the swipe.
Right, because the world of modern romance, it used to be a social gamble, a chance encounter, maybe a bad setup from a friend. Now it is one of the most commercially significant digital products we have. We're talking about massive market forces here.
Absolutely. And the data, it really backs this up. This isn't some niche thing anymore. The majority of people in the U.S. now meet their long-term partners online. And among younger adults, so 18 to 29, a staggering 30% have used a dating app. These platforms are basically societal infrastructure now.
And so our mission today is to look at how apps like Bumble, Hinge, and even Field were designed not just to connect people, but to navigate and sometimes, manipulate our deepest psychological, sociological, and gender dynamics. It's all in the service of their business model. It's really the business strategy of desire.
And that starts with the inherent, almost hilarious conflict right at the very heart of how these apps make money.
It's the central paradox of success. We call it endemic churn. The theoretical, the stated goal of any dating app is to match you so well that you find true love, quit the app, and delete your profile forever.
The ultimate success story. A happy ending.
Exactly. But if every single user did that and did it efficiently, the company would collapse overnight.
Right.
So there is this fundamental conflict engineered into the system. The app has to work well enough to give you hope.
But not so well that you don't need it anymore.
Precisely. Not so well that you don't need to keep paying to stay on the treadmill.
Endemic churn. That's a fascinating and kind of a cynical term. Does that mean the better the app is at its actual job, the worse it is for their bottom line?
In a way, yes. They have to manage that balance perfectly. They have to keep the user orbiting. And this leads directly into their monetization strategies, which are all designed around subtly limiting your free experience to push you toward paying.
And those limits are aggressive. Tinder and Bumble, for example, they typically limit free users to somewhere between, 25 and 50 likes a day?
That's it.
That's a hard psychological wall. Once you hit it, you have two choices. Wait until tomorrow, or you pay up.
And if you choose to pay, you enter this incredibly lucrative ecosystem. First, you've got the expensive premium tiers. Bumble Premium can run up to $32.99 a month. Tinder Gold is up to $19.99. And these buy you the unlimited likes and, crucially, the ability to see who already likes you. A massive time saver.
Which is really just buying back the time that the platform deliberately wasted for you in the first place.
You got it. And then you have the secondary sort of gamified purchases, roses, super likes, boosts. These are crucial because they don't just speed you up. They let you directly signal heavy interest or, more importantly, pay to jump the line and increase your profile's visibility.
You're paying to game the algorithm.
You're paying for preference, exactly.
Yeah. So this structural conflict, where the company's financial goals clash with the customer's actual goals, this often leads to what people are now calling enshittification. For anyone who hasn't heard that term, what does that look like here?
It's a pattern we see everywhere, really. Social media, online marketplaces, they start by offering a fantastic, almost frictionless, user-friendly experience to get scale.
Get everyone hooked.
Get everyone hooked, lock them in. But once they have all the users, they inevitably pivot to prioritizing profit over the user experience. So for dating apps, that means new microtransactions, reducing the visibility of free profiles, and just subtly moving the goalposts so it's harder to succeed if you're not paying.
So they make the platform a little bit worse for 90% of the users, just to extract maximum revenue from the other 10%.
That sounds like a death sentence for user satisfaction, though.
It does, which is exactly why they have to become specialists. They can't just rely on scale and churn anymore. They have to really differentiate the user experience. Okay, that brings us squarely to the competitive responses. If the big threat is enshittification, how did the big platforms carve out their own unique sustainable niches? Let's start with Bumble, which launched with a very distinct vision.
Bumble was a monumental shift. It was what people in venture capital call a 0-to-1 shift. They weren't just making a slightly better Tinder, they fundamentally changed the whole paradigm. The founder, Whitney Wolfe Herd, she channeled her own negative experiences with toxicity into a platform that was explicitly about empowering women and safety.
And that core hook was revolutionary back in 2014. Women have to make the first move in heterosexual matches. That was a direct counter move against the general toxicity and gender imbalance. on other apps.
And that strategy did the impossible. It minimized the flood of unsolicited messages and made Bumble extremely appealing to the most critical side of the market, female users. That's how Bumble managed to get a female user base of around 40%, which was way higher than its competitors at the time.
And they really doubled down on trust and safety too. They brought in features like photo verification and the private detector.
The one that blurs explicit images, yeah.
Right, it gives the user control over whether they even see it.
And strategically, Bumble was smart about that endemic churn problem. They knew if they helped you find love, you'd leave. So what do?
They built an ecosystem.
Exactly. They expanded beyond romance with Bumble BFF for friendships and Bumble Biz for networking. It creates social utility that locks users in even after they found a partner.
Okay, so if Bumble found its niche by controlling the gender dynamic, how did a competitor like Hinge tackle the same problem while keeping the focus entirely on connection?
Hinge took a dramatically different path. It was all about quality over quantity. They famously rebranded around the mission, designed to be deleted. The whole idea was to move away from superficial swiping and focus on, meaningful, authentic connections.
But wait a second. If the whole goal is to make people delete the app, doesn't the business model always win out over the mission statement? How do they keep the lights on if they're genuinely trying to get people off the platform?
They monetize the search for that quality. They do all this research through Hinge Labs, which informs their platform features like the mandatory profile prompts that force you to show some personality, not just a photo. They basically give you the illusion that if you just follow their carefully researched rules, you'll succeed. And then they charge you for the premium features that supposedly boost your chances.
And their marketing is all about empathy marketing. They're constantly showing testimonials, using language like "we met" instead of the more transactional "I matched." They're creating social proof that long-term relationships are actually possible on their app, which validates why you're paying them.
It creates a virtuous cycle of aspiration. If you believe the app can actually deliver true connection, you're more willing to tolerate the cost of the premium features you think you need to find it.
And then there's Field. Much smaller, highly concentrated demographic.
Field is the niche player. It's often described as a dense dwarf star in the market. It's smaller, but it has this incredibly concentrated gravitational pull, mostly for non-monogamous, kink-positive, and LGBTQ+ communities.
That's a great analogy. For listeners, a dwarf star is small but extremely dense and powerful. It's not trying to capture the whole galaxy. It's just serving one hyper-specialized gravity well.
Precisely. And the culture on Field is often praised as being really refreshing, characterized by maturity, decorum, and people being super upfront about what they want.
Less ambiguity.
Way less ambiguity. When you have a niche community, a lot of those friction points, like judgment, they tend to decrease.
But even these niche spaces aren't immune to change. I've heard that as it gets more media attention, you're seeing more what people call green couples or users with new behavior.
Yes, that influx brings typical challenges. Poor communication, or people just window shopping with no real intent. Or, worst of all, the really problematic practice of unicorn hunting, where couples look for a single bisexual woman to add to their dynamic without respecting her autonomy.
It just shows that even in the most mature digital spaces, new users can still disrupt the culture. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. We have to talk about the data that reveals what people say they want versus what they actually do when they swipe. The Sato gap.
It's the huge contrast between our stated preferences, what we write in our bio, and our revealed preferences, which is who we actually swipe right on, and the gap is immense, especially for women.
The selectivity numbers confirm this. While men, on average, swipe right on about 60% of the profiles they see, which is a pretty low bar. Women typically swipe right on only 4.5 to 5%.
5%.
They're focusing their attention on an incredibly tiny elite tier of men.
And this extreme selectivity is deeply rooted in evolutionary and sociological factors. It's tied to reproductive investment. Women often state a conscious desire for what we could call good dads. Men who offer kindness, stability, reliability.
Right, the long-term partner material.
Yes. Yet the high arousal, low friction world of a dating app prioritizes the biological drive toward good genes. So markers of physical attractiveness, dominance, and social status.
So the app forces you to choose between the person you think you should marry, the kind, stable one, and the person your instincts jump at, the physically dominant one. And because it's so superficial a photo and a quick bio, the good genes bias wins out almost every time.
And research consistently shows that while women value things like warmth and social status, they have a huge aversion to traits like being unambitious, hostile, arrogant, or depressed. Meanwhile, men, statistically, place a significantly higher value on physical attractiveness.
And the algorithms exploit this gap perfectly. Apps let you filter for everything. Education level, height, income, politics. This acts as a kind of virtual virtue signal.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're being diligent, like you're carefully searching for your ideal partner, validating your high standards.
You get the positive reinforcement of saying you want someone who's tall and ambitious.
And speaking of that, consider the height filter statistic.
Yeah.
Almost half of women filter for men 6 feet or taller.
Wow.
That preference is only met by about 4% of the U.S. male population. That's mathematically doomed for most people.
Yeah, the math just doesn't work.
But the algorithm knows this filter validates the user's standards. But then, and this is the crucial part, the algorithm may disregard your stated preferences and prioritize showing you top-tier profiles anyway, the ones with the highest swipe rates. The system feeds your behavioral signals, what you do over your stated desires, what you say you want. It keeps you perpetually engaged with the illusion of choice.
Okay, so now we have to move into the uncomfortable truth of it all. How these engineered environments deal with safety, bias, and flaws. Things that often undermine that whole promise of empowerment.
Harassment, scams, fraudulent accounts. There's still massive, pervasive issues that counteract any sense of real safety. Tinder's open-ended system, while it's efficient for just sheer volume, often amplifies unsolicited and inappropriate messages. It can reinforce a culture of objectification.
And women have developed these really sophisticated defenses. They've learned to spot the classic red flags. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Vague profiles, only one photo, an immediate push to move the conversation to WhatsApp.
That's a huge one. It eliminates the platform security features and usually signals a scam.
And of course, the overtly sexual opening lines, unless you're on a designated hookup app.
Another critical and I think less known flaw that sentiment analysis has highlighted is the arbitrary and inconsistent banning process. Across all platforms, user dissatisfaction with bans is extremely high. One analysis showed Hinge getting 134 negative reviews just about bans. Tinder had 66, Bumble had 26.
That's a huge problem. People complain that the bans feel totally arbitrary, sometimes happening within hours of creating a profile before they've even really interacted with anyone. If you've ever felt like your profile just suddenly stopped getting views, this could be why. The algorithm might have invisibly shadow banned you.
And this lack of transparency, the lack of recourse, is incredibly disempowering. And it extends to the algorithms themselves. They determine your visibility, your match potential, but the whole process is opaque. It creates a controlled sense of agency, not genuine empowerment. The platform is dictating your dating experience.
And then the frustration just mounts when key filters like height or education are locked behind paywalls. You're trying to define your non-negotiables, and they add friction.
Right.
Users get so frustrated when the matches don't even align with the preferences they paid to define.
And finally, we have to look at a recent strategic misstep by Bumble. In 2024, they introduced a feature called Opening Moves. It allowed women to set a prompt for men to respond to, which let the men initiate the conversation in a limited way.
And this was met with a major backlash from users. They saw it as regressive. Why did this one little shift cause such a massive reaction?
Because it chipped away at the core identity that defined the app's success. It undermined Bumble's feminist identity and risked a return to those traditional, unequal gendered communication patterns where women just feel pressured to wait for the man to initiate.
It raises a big question about whether you can really standardize empowerment if the underlying social dynamics are so resistant to a tech fix. So what does this all mean? The duality of these apps is pretty clear. They offer this unparalleled convenience and the illusion of limitless choice.
Right, but their business models, which are driven by this need for constant engagement and profit, they often just steamroll the goal of fostering authentic, long-term relationships.
And this cycle leads to widespread user burnout and really superficial engagement.
But the sources do hint at a deeper, more personal use case. Reports suggest that members are not just using these apps to find a match, but also for self-discovery and growth. By continually presenting themselves for approval, by defining their ideal partner over and over, they're constantly evolving their digital selves, and maybe their real-world selves too.
Which raises an interesting final thought for you to chew on. If digital dating is constantly making us re-examine who we are and what we want, if the entire experience is one long exercise in defining and refining our ideal? Are dating apps ultimately tools for connection with others?
Or are they merely mirrors for self-reflection that keep us perpetually seeking validation, regardless of who we actually match with?